there, soulmates. Plenty to discuss on this Tuesday, January 3rd. Welcome to Fox Soul's Black Report. I'm Courtney Hicks.
And I'm Nicordelai Corte. We're honored to stand behind this desk yet another year to take you on a journey across Black America and the stories that impact our people.
We're going to continue to bring you our news, our views, and our voice. And as you can imagine, topping today's headlines, Damar Hamlin of the Buffalo Bills remains in critical condition today after collapsing and going into cardiac arrest on the field inside of the first quarter. It happened during the Monday Night Football game that was against the Bengals. Take a listen.
Oh, this is the last thing you want to see. As they brought the stretcher out, they have that backboard out. Damar Hamlin is the one who was in on that stop on T. Higgins. And then he got up and just went right back down to the ground.
That's not what any of us want to see, and everybody's around him, and just hope that he's going to be okay.
Yeah, an absolutely devastating moment as I watch it in real time myself. Now, medical crews quickly rushed to Hamlin's side. As you saw, they're giving him CPR before being rushed to the hospital, leading NFL officials to postpone that game. The Bills released a statement saying Hamlin's heartbeat was restored on the field and he was transferred to the UC Medical Center for further testing and treatment. He is currently sedated and listed in critical condition.
Soccer legend Pele will be laid to rest in Brazil today. His body laid in state at his hometown stadium all day yesterday, giving fans an opportunity to pay their respects. His coffin will be carried through the streets of the city today, including down the street where his 100-year-old mother lives. A private funeral will be held for family members. FIFA plans to ask every country to name a soccer stadium after him. Pele died last week of colon cancer at the age of 82.
Okay, a big loss there. Now, a family of a 13-year-old who was shot and killed at a Columbus, Ohio apartment complex are demanding that authorities charge the man who killed him. Police allege that in October of 2022, 36-year-old Craig Butler, also a resident of that complex, fatally shot 13-year-old Sinzay Reed. Butler was initially charged with Reed's homicide and ordered held on $1 million bond, but charges were later dropped pending further police investigation into Butler's claim of self-defense in that shooting. Now, in a statement, Columbus police say that detectives continue to, quote, investigate the circumstances of Mr. Reed's death and are still awaiting key forensic and ballistic evidence. They are also aware of the community's concerns regarding the investigation and assured the community that the investigation is far from over.
One of the 3 white South African men accused of racially attacking young black swimmers on Christmas Day have been charged with attempted murder. A video of the men using force to prevent the boys from using a resort swimming pool went viral and is now raising the concern of past racial segregation under apartheid. Now, many say this brings to light South Africa's ongoing struggle with racism, almost 3 decades after white minority rule under apartheid ended. Community activists quickly took over the pool over the weekend in protest, saying this isn't the first time this has occurred and are demanding the men responsible for the attack be held accountable. The 3 suspects in this latest incident at the resort will appear in court again on January 25th.
Some heavy stories there.
Yeah.
Starting with Hamlin. His family actually just came out with a statement thanking everybody for their love, their prayers and support. And as they are updated on his condition, they will be sure to update us, fans across really the world now, on his condition as well. So it sounds like a situation where they just don't know just yet. And if you've ever been with a family member who is in dire straits, ICU, you know it's touch and go, and there's not a lot of answers, and that body just has to take time to heal, and the treatment, and it's really kind of guessing game. So our prayers to his family and friends and the NFL family and the union. That was really tough to see.
Yeah, and I know, the public has been responding to this. on social media, lots of tweets and posts about it, but also a lot of donations to the charity. There's a children's charity that he has. His foundation gives to that charity, and a lot of folks have been giving money to that foundation. And it's just another reminder of just sort of how violent the sport of football can be. There's been lots of discussion over the years in terms of the effects on the brain of NFL player, and we've seen many cases where the bodies of NFL football players, engage in sort of a rapid decline, in part because of just, how violent the sport can be. And so we're going to keep our eye on this story, but our hearts go out to his family.
And what I love about this moment is that it looks like the nation has really come together. I know that charity you mentioned, it started at about $2,500. I think the goal was maybe about $5,000. It is now swelled to well over $4 million. And if we can, this is tragic in and of itself, but if we can take anything positive from this moment, is that as a country, we can come together no matter the race, the creed, and we can come together in faith and hope and support. And so, if anything, I think this is an example as a nation that we can get along, and that we can come together, and that there is humanity left in this world, despite some of these crazy headlines that we unfortunately have to cover here at Fox Soul's Black Report. Yeah. All right, moving on. U.S. Representative George Kenneth Butterfield, better known as GK, Representative GK of North Carolina, is departing his post a few days early, making a way for a brother to fill the position. Butterfield didn't seek re-election in November. His successor, Democrat State Senator Don Davis, will take the oath of office on today as the new edition of Congress is seated. Butterfield, who is a Democrat, has represented the 1st congressional district since 2004 and says he believes Davis will get the job done. Now, Davis previously served as mayor of Snow Hill and as a state senator. Congratulations.
And speaking of public service, the youngest elected black mayor in the United States has officially taken office. 18-year-old Jalen Smith was sworn in this week in Earl, Arkansas. Smith won a runoff election last month by about 50 votes. The town has about 1,800 people. Smith says he promises to improve safety in the town and get rid of abandoned houses. So congratulations to him.
I know, that's amazing. So normally, Quarterly, we get into Black excellence a little later on in the show, but we're going to keep this moving. There's a history-making appointment to Michigan's highest court, as a black woman will now serve on the Michigan Supreme Court for the first time in the state's history. 34-year-old Kyra Bolden has been appointed to replace retiring Chief Justice Bridget McCormick. Bolden received her law license in 2024 and became a state representative in 2019. Now, what makes this accomplishment so remarkable? Listen to this. Justice Bolden is the great-granddaughter of a lynching victim. Her great-grandfather was lynched in Tennessee back in 1939 after asking a store owner for a receipt, a simple request. She says that injustice is what sparked her passion to enter law and fight for what's right.
I love this story, and it's a reminder of that famous quote by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. And not only does it bend towards justice here in Michigan, but it's bending by a Chief Justice that is a part of that long walk to freedom. And so congratulations to her, and congratulations to Governor Whitmer, who appointed her.
That's right.
Gretchen.
Big Gretch is what we call her here in Michigan.
We can't act like the appointment of Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson by President Biden is mutually exclusive from this appointment by Whitmer. And hopefully we see, a lot more black folks, black women joining the ranks of the judiciary. we know that discrimination under the law, is a part of the inception of this country. And so I think one of the ways we atone for that and begin to address it in a real way is by having a more diverse judiciary. And so congratulations to her. Congratulations to her.
And talk about a full circle moment when you talk about the injustice and being the great-granddaughter of someone who was literally lynched. A full circle, a long circle to get back around to this day, but indeed a full circle moment. And so if anything, we're hoping stories like this will keep our soulmates, you, encouraged to continue to push through and persevere. This is one of those stories that really rings true and makes such a great point of that.
Absolutely right. Well, switching gears and heading over to my old stomping grounds, Northern California, we're there dealing with some extreme flooding. Several communities underwater after heavy rainfall over the weekend, and more in the forecast. Fox's Ted Lindner has the latest.
Cleanup continues across swaths of Northern California after this weekend's historic and deadly weather system called an atmospheric river storm triggered flash floods.
The whole creek kind of overflow, everything in our backyard got filled with water, a lot of trees break down.
The storm, categorized by long bands of water vapor that produce heavy rainfall and snow, washed out roads, submerged cars, generated mudslides, knocked out power to thousands, and damaged infrastructure. The storm's intensity prompting evacuations and rescues as drivers were caught off guard.
The truck lost traction, it floated. Luckily it perched on something. I'm not sure what it really perched on. Allowed us to stay on top. We waited on top of the vehicle for what felt a couple hours. EMS saved us.
The rain also resulting in sinkholes like this one outside the entrance of the Oakland Zoo, forcing officials to close it down for at least 2 weeks for repairs.
Most importantly, the animals are safe, but we've now got to assess the property damage. We've got to clean up. There's mud, on the pathways and in the parking lots. So it's been pretty extreme.
Rural areas also upended. The storm crippling levee systems in Wilton, California, causing floodwaters to advance throughout farmland. Forecasters warn the dangers are not over for swamped communities, and another bout of heavy rainfall is expected to slam Northern California Wednesday and Thursday.
And now experts are warning that a third atmospheric river storm is set to add to the destruction in California's flooded areas. So stay safe out there, soulmates. This is nothing to play with. We were just talking about this earlier, how, on the West Coast, we're seeing heavy rain. Across the country, we're seeing deep freezes. We're seeing folks still digging themselves out of the snow. Climate change is real.
I agree with that, and it's definitely affecting these weather patterns. And as you all were pretty much, swimming on the West Coast, here in the Midwest, we were digging out, especially cities like Buffalo, who are still trying to recover from that very, very deadly winter blizzard, where we lost a lot of our soulmates. A lot of those folks that you heard being talked about were Black. And were just trapped in their cars, tried to make it a block or two and just couldn't make it. And so even though that story has kind of left the headlines, if you will, this story and others, when you talk about water crisis and things that have happened in our communities, I think it's also a part of this show to really check in on those folks and those headlines and see how people are doing. That was devastating. And it happened that Friday, right before Christmas, Christmas weekend.
Yeah, and I think sometimes we forget about the homeless population, the unhoused population out there. I know when I was in California, I saw, homeless people, unhoused people that were, trying to create makeshift shelters wherever they were. Right. Imagine what life is like, whether it's, the floods and the raining on the West Coast or the deep freezes, across the country, the snow on the East Coast.
For someone who has no place to go.
Exactly. And so, all the more the reason why we've got to turn up the volume and do a whole lot more to address homelessness across America. And so hopefully a lot of the mayors, the big city mayors that are taking this on will be successful.
And take care of Mother Earth. I don't think she'll be defeated, but we give her a hard time. Take care of Mother Earth.
That's right. Well, still ahead, a disturbing discovery at the Panera Bread.
Yeah, we'll tell you what workers found in the bathroom that now has law enforcement involved. Those stories and more coming up. You're watching Fox Soul's Black Report.